community is the biggest core and essence what I'm trying to create, and how to go deeper into ourselves while connecting with the community. A lot of people are just tired, exhausted, and we need to reset.
The body is a portal for everything, really. Authentic movement kind of encapsulates that. It's like a form that allows that to happen really organically and beautifully.
Because there's no structure and no technique involved, it does allow for the body to just be in its own natural fluid movement.
Those healing frequencies that are available through the plants, they do not require the ingestion to be totally active.
Through multiple ceremonies, not consuming any plant spirits, but being in the frequency of the group and also calling in some of those spirit guides has a very profound connection that can be made in these circles.
When I'm standing up there with the drum and I'm singing, I am in love with this earth. I'm putting my emotion and my soulfulness into singing to help lift this weight off of the earth that we put on her. Others can feel it when I am in that space. That creates an opening for them. So to me, it all comes down to just creating that channel of love.
You don't need plant medicine to get there, to actually have this connection to spirit source, the universe. We can access that ourselves through meditation work, and it's amplified when we are in these song circles.
It's easy to get stuck in the mind in this reality we're in because we're stimulated so much externally, but the body wants to be met by us in our own inner experience and then also shared in a community.
Talking about dropping in an energy, like I was exhausted. I was like, oh, I have to do this meeting. And the moment I met with you guys, my energy it was a minute just shifting. So I can only imagine what's gonna happen when we really meet in person.
I'm curious to know, Casper, what inspired you to even want to put on a retreat?
So I feel that one of the things that really spoke to me is community is the biggest core and essence what I'm trying to create, and how to go deeper into ourselves while doing this. I want to call it a spiritual journey or a deeper dive into ourselves while making friends and while connecting with the community. And from my observations, a lot of people are just tired, exhausted, and we need to reset. And I felt that retreat would be an excellent way to continue my journey. And with that idea, I was playing with it for a while, and then I reached out to Clark. I was like, Clark, would you like to be a part of this? And here we are.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And I'm also inspired by this idea of community too. Clark and I have been holding circles for years, and I keep seeing how people, whether I know them well and they've been on this path as well, or completely new to it, coming together and bonding like deeply, and then becoming family almost instantly through the process of holding each other, allowing ourselves to be in a safe space to go deep, releasing traumas, sharing stories, releasing stories, getting creative, finding new ways of relating to each other, or at least letting more light into our lives and allowing ourselves to shine and not dimming our light ever, and moving and singing, which is, for me, like I've been through a process of allowing myself to sing again. I used to perform in musical theater and I loved it and I always wanted to be a singer, but I was told I was okay to pass for, the dancing chorus person, but not like enough to be the leading person. And I think I dimmed myself in many ways and thought that I just wasn't good enough. And I think through singing in the work that we get to do has opened my voice again and not just allowed me to express myself, but to be authentic and allow myself to hear myself again. Truly, I too have gone through my own transition, moving from my film and television career and more into this energetic healing space, as well as my creative work, which has been a parallel journey to this path of ritual and ceremony and meditation work. I think a lot of people are trying to find a deeper meaning than just what do I have to do to pay my bills? I think we can do both. I think we can pay our bills and do something that's meaningful. And I personally have discovered through doing these song circles that we can find more meaning to our lives and purpose. And it's beautiful. It's so enriching to the soul and to the body and to the mind. For me, it's been very expansive. And I have witnessed that many, many times with people all over the place in terms of the spectrum of where they are in life or where they are on this journey, whether they're waking up to wanting more, wanting not more materialism, but more purpose and soulfulness to their lives. So I'm just inspired by knowing personally and witnessing so many people grow in such beautiful ways, and people who've come out of very, very dark places and in even just one song circle have been able to crack through that darkness and allow the light in again, whatever that light means, whether it's breaking through ignorance or a story that someone's been telling themselves their whole lives, or thinking that you're not good enough or lovable, or trying to find where the heart space is, getting out of the mind and into the heart.
Mhm.
And this all brings me back to this place of me even wanting to reconnect with dance. So I will now go to Janine, my dance sister. What inspired you to hear the call and say yes to doing this with us?
Well, authentic movement is something I love to lead. And so I feel like it goes really well with the voice, with the song circle. And also doing something with you guys felt really precious just because I know you really well. I feel like the body is a portal for everything, really. I just spent all day in that portal. And so I'm don't have a lot of words, but it's very powerful. Like it's a really good balance. Movement is like anchors everything in my world. I think people can benefit from it just because it's easy to get stuck in the mind in this reality we're in because we're stimulated so much externally, but the body wants to be met by us in like our own inner experience and then also shared in a community, I feel. And for me, authentic movement kind of encapsulates that. It's like a form that allows that to happen really organically and beautifully. So
Mm, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. I agree. We get to kind of lift our frequencies or our vibrations and our energetic awareness when we're in meditation or in these circles. We kind of even can hopefully get out of our mind and into some higher realms, but the dancing allows us to, I think, integrate a lot of the
Mhm.
lessons that we learn in our meditation, whether visions are happening or you get some download, or even just to move energy through your body
Totally.
in a way that you might not even knew that you needed to actually move through you.
Hmm.
I find myself showing up and then just getting into the movements and allowing myself to surrender to whatever wants to come, like we do when we're in a circle,
Hmm.
and discovering, oh, there's a lot of energy that needs to be moved, and the dancing facilitates that.
For sure.
I mean, if you really start studying any sacred text or even look at world around us, pure physics, any change, any progress is always through motion. If you really
Mm.
even study the rock, it's made out of atoms, and within the atoms is just nothing but movement, you know. However you experience movement, I think it's progress and change and ability to see what's new, what's showing up. And I was very, very excited, Janine, when I heard that it's going to be part of this retreat.
Mm.
I think it's just another layer of the onion that we get to peel piece by
Mm.
piece. You know, whether you sit before meditation, from our tradition, it's like we are guided to flex our muscles to get all the, stagnant energy out. And then you can
Hmm.
decompress. Then we can try to still, how do we focus our mind? How do we become still? That's very, very difficult for us. you know?
I really appreciate what you said about bringing the stillness piece in, because I think it's the balance of these two
Yeah.
things. I think you're totally right. We have to move to sort of jostle it all up and then move in a flow and find that. And then once you've activated that, knowing how to then come into that place of stillness and listen and be quiet. I think the balancing throughout a weekend like this of activating the movement of energy through the body, through the voice, through devotional connection to these outer energies that we're able to connect to through the earth, through spirit, but then in a container that can then bring you back to stillness and support you in learning how to hold that stillness so that you can really hear and listen to what they have to offer us, and then go be with friends and sit around a fire. It's such a beautiful balancing of all these things that bring us to this place of wholeness.
Mm.
Yeah, it's beautifully said. I literally was going to touch on that. It's exciting, I think, to think about doing a retreat or a circle like this where all of us can come in and have a holistic approach of the meditation, the singing, the song circle, the ritual, the ceremony of that, allowing ourselves to tap into something beyond ourselves, healing ourselves in that way as well, allowing surrender and acceptance to come through, and going into other practices of meditation and perhaps bringing, without dogma or religious undertones, but more of ancient traditions that hold wisdom for us to help us discipline ourselves in our daily lives. And then the dancing of it and the interactive movement that I feel is all about, it's discovering ourselves and remembering who we are at the end of the day. Why are we doing this? Is to discover new parts of ourselves, ways of being and relating to ourselves and others, as well as rediscovering our potential, our power. And this is totally applicable for all aspects of our lives and things that we can take into our daily practice, not just into these retreat spaces, but actually coming together and being supported by each other, not just the four of us, but everyone. We end up coming together into these circles and everyone gets an opportunity. I've witnessed, which is so beautiful, and why I'm so in awe of these settings, these safe containers that we get to build together, is that everyone gets to play a part.
Can I ask you a question, David?
Yeah,
I'm
ask
curious.
away.
What do you feel like the difference is between dance and your experience of authentic movement?
Well, for me, dance, like whether it's a class or choreography, tends to be a little bit more structured. What I love about authentic movement is it allows for a lot more freedom to come through and discovery.
Mm.
I feel like there's a little bit more of a listening to the flow of energy going through my body in a way that's really therapeutic. When I do authentic movement, I guess in context to some of the more meditative ceremony work, ritualistic work that we get to do, I love that there is the witness in authentic movement.
Mm.
I think, in dance, there's usually a teacher and they're correcting technique,
Mm-hmm.
or there's an audience. And so there's maybe some like energetic exchange in that way. But with the witness, I feel like it's a different dynamic in a way that feels like the witness is holding anything that wants to come through. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no mistakes because there's no structure and no technique involved. It does allow for the body to just be in its own natural fluid movement
Mm.
while also being held and seen. So for me, like definitely still processing my own wounds around not feeling seen and
Mm-hmm.
heard. And I think that witness aspect actually allows for some reflection that goes on a deep level. I think there's been times where I'm not thinking about my movement and you've been able to reflect something that I wasn't even aware of. And that was helpful for me to see where I was going, or even kind of connecting some story that the movement was taking me into, or just accepting the freedom that was coming through for me. And I love the way you hold the space in this way. It really invites anybody to move. There is no choreography, there's no rhythm that you have to keep up to. It's really allowing someone to be in their own expression of movement. And that's such a beautiful thing to just even acknowledge.
Mhm.
Did that answer your question?
Totally.
Very
Yeah.
long-winded answer.
No, it's a good answer. So the song circles, how do you feel like you hold space? Because I think you do it really beautifully. I'm just curious about that.
Thanks for saying that. Thanks for that reflection. I just show up with an open heart. And
Mm.
I hope that when I'm met with an open heart, that other people feel inspired to open up their heart. And really, that's as simple as it gets. You know, when I first got into holding space for people, it's been a journey of learning just to be there to support in a way that's supportive to anybody's process, or being able to connect with someone or let them just be in their process. And so for me, I just show up wanting to also create a safe space for anybody to go through whatever transformation they need to go through, or discover any creativity that they may have not have discovered, and also release anything that they need to release or let go without judgment. And so, you know, for me, it's less about any mechanics and more about the presence of being here now, like Ram Dass says, you know, and
Mm.
really practicing unconditional love and acknowledging if any of my humanness and judgments come up, especially if I see somebody going into a judgmental place, allowing for them to also see what that feels like and reflecting it, hopefully in a way that doesn't feel like they need to learn some lesson, but that they can be held safely and make any discovery that they need to make in that moment for themselves in a way that feels loving.
Mhm.
I do have a question. If you could paint a picture for me, what is authentic movement? It's like a darkly lit room, people are blindfolded, people are standing, seated.
I can tell you from having been in because I've had the same imagining, Caster, of like what are people hearing about this going to be picturing. Janine is facilitating, sort of saying certain things to prompt and guide and hold. But where it gets different for authentic movement is rather than having a medicine or something you've ingested begin to move through you in this way, you are listening in that quiet for whatever sensations are naturally moving through you in your natural state. And you're really just being invited to allow that to move. So for me, picture me in my living room, laid out on a blanket with my eyes closed. And all of a sudden, I'm just kind of like, it kind of always starts for me like this. And I think being a Kriya Bond, you know, you and I practice Kriya Yoga. There's this energy always moving up and down the spine. If I take plant medicine, I start to wiggle. That energy in my spine starts to wake up. If I'm in authentic movement, it's more subtle, but I begin to feel this movement and all of, oh, now my arm is over here. And now and I can, months after practicing authentic movement, I've said it before, if I'm walking down the street feeling disconnected, I'll just start to reconnect to that. And if I can just get this again, 20 minutes in, 15 people in the room, you can only imagine how they're all moving and weaving. And the magic is your eyes might remain closed, but somehow there's a synchrony, there's a symphony to it. And now we're all moving, and that collective energy is building, and it has this amplifying effect. And I'm getting chills talking about it. You almost don't want to describe it to someone too much because it's the unknown of what might unfold that helps create the magic of it.
That was a good description. But yeah, it's a practice with eyes closed. It was developed by somebody who studied, she was a dancer And she was also deep in studying Jungian analysis. She was in her own Jungian analysis. And then, so she was very curious about the unconscious and what truly moves us, as opposed to like what David was saying about dance, like being taught a movement versus like inhabiting it fully in aliveness. And so with eyes closed, it's easier to go deeper in that. And yeah, I do a kind of a guided meditation at the beginning, like that goes through all different connective systems in the body to invite the mind to kind of soften and the body to awaken more.
That's amazing answers, guys. And it's like, by the way you're describing it, I was like, when do I get to try it?
You can do it right now. Start
I think it was
wiggling.
just a little wiggle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that the next follow-up question is for me, and to be quite transparent, not so long ago, I've taken my wife and we've actually sat together for the first time. And I've had experiences with different plant medicine, but we actually tried the queen, the ayahuasca ceremony. But I would love to find out from your take on it, in your vision, how this no plant ceremony or no plant retreat will be different. And what would be maybe some of the benefits?
It was a shocking moment in October when one of our greatest mentors on the path we were walking with the plants came to us and said, "We want you to stop for a year." You know, it was like our work was just picking up. People were having these tremendous benefits. Our ceremonies were always full. And then we're asked to stop. Why is that? We're now 8 months into that process. And it is so clear that Spirit asked us to stop so that we could learn that the plants, consuming them directly, so important for so many people, but those healing frequencies that are available through the plants, they do not require the ingestion to be totally active. And when someone has forged these connections with spiritual healing, spiritual frequencies, and I'm not just talking about plant medicine, I'm talking about everything from plant medicine to Jesus, to Buddha, to Yogananda, who we work with, to the spirit of the stars, to the spirit of the grass. When you have made connections to these energetic healing frequencies, once that connection is forged, you can transfer that connection to someone else through thought, through song, through devotion. The very first ceremony we served with no medicine, within 3 minutes of the first drum beat, we had someone sobbing, fully convulsing in the floor in a complete energetic process that she said completely shifted her reality in that moment. So it's becoming easier and easier for me to say there is no difference. I think there are some really positive differences. It's a lot easier. Plant medicine work is no small feat. You go into a 3-day retreat to work with these master plant teachers. There's going to be some highs and there's going to be some real challenges to walk through. I do think the intensity is evened out a little bit. It's very accessible. A lot of people are not told to work with plant medicine in this life. You don't need plant medicine to heal. I think it's creating a way in for people that's just a little bit lower octane. But the larger holding, how it brings you into a place where you can feel those vibrations of spirit. It brings you into a place where you're open enough to be able to really receive them. When I look back on 50 plus ayahuasca ceremonies, it is not the big visions that have happened that keep me coming back, honestly. There have been moments working with ayahuasca where it's been so challenging, I thought I don't want to go back. Do you know what has brought me back? The community, the sangha, the people that you're ladling up soup with after the ceremony, the person that is helping you stand up after a hard night. Those are the friendships. That's what matters. And so to be able to have that without having to go to that level of intensity, I really think the plants and our teachers have guided us to hold the work in this way so that it can be more accessible, it can spread more, it can be received without having to go to those extreme places.
I too was wondering how a song circle could be as impactful as communing with the plant spirits and singing their ikonos or their songs that came through the spirit of the plants. And I have over and over again through multiple ceremonies, not consuming any plant spirits, but being in the frequency of the group, and also calling in some of those guides, those spirit guides, or whatever you may connect with, has a very profound connection that can be made in these circles. And the releases, the emotions, the energetic exchanges that occur over and over again are in the ballpark of our plant medicine circles. And I have yet to hear someone say that they did not have a transformational experience that left them inspired, changed, allowing them to tap into their self that they had forgotten about. If you look at the history of a lot of ancient wisdom keepers that were meant to come together and heal each other or allow ourselves to be the vessel of whatever you believe in, whether it's the cosmos coming through us, the energy of spirit coming through us.
Clark, can I ask you a question that kind of like
Yeah,
dovetails that?
please.
I'm just curious about your intention when you're singing, when you're sharing the songs from our lineage.
To me, it comes down to devotion. We all have our different roles that we play in these circles. We all have our own different paths. I've spent the last 10 years of my life cultivating a devotional channel to spirit. It began through my guru Paramahansa Yogananda. It now extends out to the plant spirits I work with. It goes back to the Jesus of my youth, if I can separate that from the religion of it and just get into that spirit. My work in this life is to cultivate that devotion and then to share that frequency of devotion with others. And when I start to think about getting ready for a retreat or a song circle or a ceremony, there's this incredible relief that has begun to wash over me when I remind myself, Clark, it doesn't matter how many people are there. It doesn't matter who shows up. It doesn't matter if someone forgets to bring the bread. All you have to do is spend a couple of hours in devotion to these spirits and these guides that give you so much in your life. And I try to push everything else away. And when I'm standing up there with the drum and I'm singing, I am in love with what I'm singing to. I am in love with this earth. I am feeling her pain. I'm putting my emotion and my soulfulness into singing to help lift this weight off of the earth that we put on her through our misguided actions. I am aware of the white ram whose hide is in my drum that I have forged this connection with. I am in love with this ram. I am thanking it for its life. And so I get to spend a couple hours singing these songs that don't just sound pretty. I have witnessed these songs turn back time. I've witnessed them create healing in people. And so to be able to be with these songs, to be in love with these entities, to be in gratitude for the lineages that carried them forth, I have had reflected to me that one of my gifts is the ability to transmit that devotion. Others can feel it when I am in that space. That creates an opening for them. So to me, it all comes down to just creating that channel of love. It really is love.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I'm very grateful that in the beginning of my spiritual journey, I started meditating before ever going into these circles. And I had a very profound vision and experience that came to me that later, once in plant medicine space, it was showing me this is available to you. You don't need plant medicine to get there, to actually have this connection to spirit source, the universe, the wisdom that is quantum, you name it. And we can access that ourselves through meditation work. And it's amplified when we are in these song circles. Like the songs themselves, the devotion, the trust that comes through enables us to get to that place of cracking the code, breaking through our limitations, our blockages, allowing more energy to flow through us, allowing the light to shine through us. We have the light inside of us. We're just trying to allow that to come through us more and more. And so, I remember Maharaji or Neem Karoli Babaji telling Ram Dass after taking LSD, after taking medicine, he said that you can get there, meaning you can connect to God, source, creator, whatever you want to call that energy with these medicines, but it only gets you in the room. It doesn't last forever. I feel like this gives us the opportunity to really practice making those connections with a limitless, everlasting benefit. And it really calls on us to be disciplined, to not just rely on something like a plant spirit, which is beautiful. And I'm so grateful to the plant spirits and I love them. And yet there is a space and time to be cultivating these practices outside of plant medicine work. And this gives us that opportunity to continue practicing meditation and integration work simultaneously.
And to then set you up to go back into your life. Because
Right,
whether you're talking
exactly.
about ayahuasca in deepest Peru or mushrooms or whatever kind of ceremony you're doing, everyone gets so caught up on the night, the sit, the visions. And you do enough of this work, you begin to realize you can actually start to forget about all of that. That's just the activation. That's just this catalyzing event that then sends you back into your life. And any inspiration you saw, any guidance you received, any refinement that wanted to come through, it is going to come up in your life. It's going to be there in your mother, in your child, in your boss, in your dissatisfaction, in the fact that you're still kind of an asshole when the rubber hits the road. You're going to get provoked by these things, and life is going to demand that you grow and refine and discover the wounds, discover these hurt parts that are still in us that cause these things to happen that aren't as highly aligned as they could be for us. So whether you're taking medicine or coming together and singing these sacred songs or doing authentic movement, or even if a group of friends just got together out in nature and said, we're going to step apart for a weekend and just be intentional in time and not add in all the fillers, you can guarantee life is going to start showing up differently for you after that.
Mm-hmm.
There is one particular city with an extremely high crime rate. And there was like a scientific study through some kind of university, and they invited 100 monks. That's it for 30 days. They'll be meditating for a certain amount of time every single day. So after 30 days, the whole crime rate, from very, very petty crimes to just very, very serious crimes, dropped 50%. The wonderful thing was that after the monks have left, the same rate continue being low for next year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like we all are on this kind of cycle. And I think one of the hardest thing for us is that it's never replaceable as the time. So how do we spend and invest our time? And I would highly encourage to everybody just get together and create those moments. I'm not saying just go with us. No, do it with your friends. But
Yeah.
sometimes when we cook for you, when people take the time to really try to create an experience and take you on the journey and together guide ourselves and guide you, there is going to be a force.
I love what you said so much. And I think that the last thing I feel inspired to say is the world is what it is. And, the provocations are real. And there's plenty of things out there right now that it's tempting to want to get angry at or go fight back or go protest or whatever it is. And it's always just been very clear to me my place is not with a picket sign. My place is not ranting about these things. My place is to go get separate from all of that, get quiet, sing, pray, meditate, be in community, cook good meals, take care of my body. Because it's like those monks showing up in the war-torn city. They didn't go fight crime. They didn't go teach the criminals how to not be criminals. They just held this high vibration in the presence of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think someone choosing to spend a weekend away focusing on these parts of life, I think they're doing more to lift the vibration of our world and combat these ills, these evils, this wrongdoing than someone that is out there actively trying to address these things.
These practices are very powerful. I used to be a little skeptical myself, and I invite the skeptics to come and work with us and experience. It is really the experience of feeling the higher frequency, vibration, whatever you want to call it, the palpable feeling that you get between people in this like-minded space of love and support and fun. We get to hang out and have fun together, and it's all for the intention of improving ourselves or just being together or finding new ways to be a human being, breaking those psychological patterns that we all have, and getting to sing, dance, meditate together. And it's so beautiful. I wanted to ask you, Casper, what is the style of yoga that you want to present here? And what do you want to share about your beautiful contribution that you're going to be making? I know that you're a Yogananda devotee, and if there's anything in that kind of vein of wisdom wants to come through you, what can you share?
I really think that all depends on who's showing up and what's showing up for us. I believe that in the morning, and we are discussing that we gonna have a early morning meditation and yoga. I believe that it's doing something more active. I believe that we have to waken up the body. So rather being a morning vinyasa, I really think that would be very, very appropriate. I fluctuate between more stillness versus more active. So all depends on the mood, on the day, where we at.
Beautiful.
That's great. I love it. Thanks for sharing.
And I have to add one more thing. Talking about dropping in an energy, like I was exhausted. I was like, oh, I have to do this meeting. And the moment I met with you guys, my energy just, it was a minute just shifting. So thank you for that. So I can only imagine what's going to happen when we really meet in person.
You're so right, Casper. Like, thanks for saying that. And I agree. Like, I feel like my energy is already lifted just in this small window of time that we've had together. And I'm really looking forward to being together with you all and
Yeah.
whoever decides to show up and hear the call and say yes.
Amen.
I would say I would
Amen.
say this. Whoever is hearing this, watching this, and it speaks to you, and you would like to be part of that, get in touch.